Hello and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the latest headlines that we are tracking. All-party delegation to Kashmir meets the 200 stakeholders in Srinagar. Separatist nub offers for talks. Fresh round of violence hits valley. Prime Minister Modi stresses on need to eliminate safe havens for economic offenders. On day 2 of G20 summit, calls for breaking down web of complex international regulations and excessive banking secrecy. India and China underscore significance of BRICS nations. At informal meeting of group on sidelines of G20, India makes hard-hitting intervention. Says BRICS must intensify efforts against terror and its sponsors. Mother Teresa canonized at mass event at the Vatican. Pope Francis hails her as emblematic figure of womanhood and tireless worker of mercy. And counting underway after the first major elections in Hong Kong since pro-democracy protests in 2014. Turnout highest since territory was handed over to China in 1997. Our top story this morning, while Home Minister Rajnath Singh chaired a meeting of the all-party delegation in Kashmir, which was attended by Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti. Well, during the meeting, a detailed presentation was given by the state government, highlighting various issues related to the current scenario in the state. On Sunday, separatists snubbed offers for talks from MPs who are part of the delegation. Meanwhile, a fresh violence has also been reported in the valley. The all-party delegation witnessed hurdles on first day of the Kashmir visit after separatist leaders rebuffed attempts for talks with them. Sharad Yadav, D. Raja and Sitaram Yechuri received the most hostile reception after separatist Hurriyat leader Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani refused to meet them. While the leaders managed to meet detained separatist leader Yasin Malik, a breakthrough could not be reached. Moderate Hurriyat leader Mirwais Umar also refused any talks with the delegation member Asad Owaisi. Earlier in the day, separatists rejected Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti's invitation to participate in talks, with the all-party delegation terming the attempt as deceitful.
ऐसा है कि हमारा काम है, हम इस देश के लिए हैं, तो देश के खातिर जब कई तरह के काम ऐसा करना पड़ते हैं, जिससे मान अपमान का कोई मामला नहीं।
तीनों ने मुझसे कहा कि उन्होंने एक मुश्तरका मुत्तफ़िक़ा फ़ैसला लिया है कि वो इस ऑल पार्टी डेलीगेशन के किसी भी रुकन से नहीं बात करेंगे और उन्होंने कहा है कि यहाँ पर जो वायलेंस हुआ, यहाँ पर जो हालात चल रहे हैं, इसीलिए उन्होंने फैसला लिया है.
Lashing out at the centre, former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said all party delegations have lost credibility because there was no follow-up in the past after such visits. He also criticised the state government for keeping the Hurriyat leaders in detention during the time of talks.
You need to open channels of communication to address the political nature of the problem. You cannot either tire this agitation out and you cannot crush it. You cannot buy out a solution to it. You will have to address it politically.
Cutting across party lines, 26 members from 20 parties met around 200 stakeholders, including members of the civil society, academics, teachers, and fruit and saffron growers. Leaders said that they were hopeful of finding a solution for restoration of peace in the valley, even as protesters torched the DM's office in the Shopian district. Violent clashes have claimed 71 lives since the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen militant Burhan Wani on 8th of July. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Now on to news from the G20 summit. Well, today is the second and the last day of the crucial summit that is being held in China. Well, Prime Minister Modi addressed the leaders at the summit today, saying that fighting corruption, black money and tax evasion is the key to effective governance. He also said there is a need to eliminate safe havens for economic offenders. On Sunday, the Prime Minister called for collective, coordinated and targeted action to combat global slowdown.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi told G20 members that a difficult conversation was not enough to combat global slowdown. Addressing leaders at the 11th G20 summit, the Prime Minister called for collective, coordinated and targeted action. Laying out an agenda for structural reforms to revive global growth, Modi said there was a need to improve financial system, boost domestic production, enhance infrastructure investment and create a pool of human capital. Earlier, Chinese President Xi Jinping, who addressed the summit, urged leaders to prescribe remedies for the world economy to embark on a road of robust, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. He also warned against empty talk.
我现在宣布，20国集团领导人杭州峰会开幕。面对当前挑战，我们应该完善全球经济治理，夯实机制保障。
Ahead of the G20 summit, an informal meet of BRICS leaders was also held. Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping said that BRICS is an influential voice in the international discourse and it must play a bigger role.
As BRICS are an influential voice in the international discourses, it is therefore our shared responsibility to shape the international agenda and do so in a manner that helps all the developing nations achieve their objectives.
Prime Minister Modi also made a hard-hitting intervention during his BRICS address and said terrorists in South Asia or anywhere for that matter do not own banks or weapon factories and hence efforts must intensify against terror and its sponsors.
It was important for us to identify the suppliers and exporters and financiers of terrorism. Otherwise, the world is going to face a huge problem and challenge in the coming weeks and months. His overall message was that we need a unified approach on countering terrorism.
Day one of the G20 ended with a gala dinner hosted by the Chinese president for all visiting leaders. The two-day summit will draw to a close today. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a bilateral meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 summit, while India raised its concern with China over the China-Pakistan economic corridor which runs through POK and also terrorism emanating from the region. Modi told Xi that the two countries need to be sensitive to each other's strategic interests. Modi also said that the fight against terror should not only be motivated by political considerations. On his part, Xi said that China is willing to work with India to maintain their hard-won sound ties and further boost bilateral cooperation. But it was a 35-minute meeting between the two leaders, which is their 8th so far.
India-China partnership is important not only for the two countries, but for the entire region and the world. Prime Minister said that as a matter of principle, both countries would have to be sensitive to each other's strategic interests. In order to promote positive convergences, we would also need to prevent growth of negative perceptions. For this, the specific actions by both countries would play the major role. India has worked, he said, to make progress in the closer developmental partnership with China. In particular, he highlighted that we have succeeded in maintaining peace and tranquility on the border.
Well, apart from the Chinese Prime Minister Modi also held meetings with other world leaders at the G20 summit. Well, Prime Minister Modi exchanged pleasantries with US President Barack Obama and met him briefly. The two leaders had another opportunity to exchange views during an informal evening program. Obama, in his intervention during the G20 summit, praised Modi for the recent tax reform as an example of bold policy in an otherwise difficult global economic scenario. Prime Minister Modi met also his Australian counterpart Malcolm Turnbull too on the sidelines of the summit. Turnbull assured his country's support for India's bid for the NSG membership, and the two leaders agreed to deepen the bilateral defence and security cooperation. Prime Minister Modi also met a Deputy Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and held discussions on the UNSC reforms and on enhancing bilateral ties in various areas, including energy and maritime security. In the meeting, Modi called for strengthened partnership with Saudi Arabia in various areas such as maritime security, infrastructure, low-cost housing and energy sector. Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the G20 summit on Sunday, US held talks with Russia on Syria on a couple of tough issues. Well, after meeting his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, US Secretary of State John Kerry said that many technical issues on a US-Russia deal on Syria have been worked out, but a couple of tough issues remain. The US has agreed to meet with the Russian side again today to bridge a gap on a couple of remaining points. Military officials from both US and Russia, which back opposite sides to Syria's 5-year war, have been meeting for weeks to try to work out on the terms of a deal. Now, Russia has backed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, while the US has worked with moderate opposition forces fighting Assad. The White House has said Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin likely would have the chance to talk informally on the sidelines of the G20. However, no time for that meeting has been announced.
An awful lot of technical things have been worked out. A lot of things are clear. Still remain, as I say, a couple of tough issues. We've got to figure out how to make certain both of us can be comfortable with a resolution to those issues. So that's what we're working on.
On to the other top story. Well, Mother Teresa has been canonized by Pope Francis at a grand ceremony at the Vatican. The event saw lakhs of pilgrims reaching the venue to witness the ceremony, while back home people watched the ceremony on television. Well, the decision to announce Mother Teresa a saint was taken after 2 miracles were attributed to her. Lakhs of people from around the world, Catholics, including hundreds of blue and white robed nuns from the Missionaries of Charity, congregated at the Vatican on Sunday to attend the canonization of the Church's newest saint, Mother Teresa. Even before Pope Francis completed the formula for the canonization, applause broke out as he declared Blessed Teresa of Calcutta to be a saint. A huge portrait of Mother Teresa, whom the Church credits with having performed 2 miraculous cures of the sick, hung from St. Peter's Basilica during the colourful ceremony. A 12-member delegation led by Minister of External Affairs Sushma Swaraj and the delegation from West Bengal and New Delhi, including Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal, were also part of the event.
Et vitae Christianae incrementum, autoritate Domini nostri Iesu Christi, Beatorum Apostolorum Petri et Pauli ac nostra, natura deliberazione prehabita, et divina opes sepius implorata.
While Mother Teresa was being made a saint at the Vatican, people back home in India cheered as they watched the process on TV. In Kolkata, at the Missionaries of Charity, visitors poured in to celebrate and offer flowers at her tomb. A Catholic church near Mumbai dedicated to Mother Teresa was rechristened as Saint Mother Teresa Church, while special prayers and mass processions were organized by churches in Kerala.
It was the most wonderful and blessed experience, I should say. We've come here as a family, especially from Goa, for the canonization of Blessed Mother.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tweeted, "Sainthood of Mother Teresa is a memorable and proud moment." Indian Post released a commemorative postage stamp on her as part of the celebrations, while in Odisha an important road was renamed after her.
It was incredible. I had the opportunity to know personally Mother Teresa 25 years ago, and so I was waiting for this moment. I was in the Mass of Beatification because I was working in Rome, and so I was waiting for this moment, the administration.
Born Agnes Gongsa Bojaxio in 1910, Mother Teresa set up her Missionaries of Charity in the slums of Kolkata in 1950 and made it her headquarters for nearly half a century. Earning global recognition for her unending work and compassion for the poor, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She breathed her last on 5th of September 1997 and she was beatified in 2003. While most of the Catholic Church's saints are honoured decades after their deaths, Mother Teresa has been granted sainthood just 19 years after her death. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And here are some more reactions as the country celebrates Mother Teresa's sainthood.
गरीबों के बीच रह के गरीबों की ज़िंदगी जी के और उनकी सेवा की, इस किस्म की मिसालें बहुत कम देखने को मिलती हैं इतिहास में। वो एक बहुत महान आत्मा थी और मुझे व्यक्तिगत तौर पे बहुत खुशी है कि आज उन्हें संत की उपाधि दी गई।
भारत के लिए तो है यार, हमारा बंगाल के लिए गौरव होता है इसी के लिए कि उन्होंने कलकत्ता से बिलोंग्स करते थे, कलकत्ता में काम किया, बंगाल में किया, ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड भी किया, लेकिन उनका जो काम है डाउन टू अर्थ पीपल के लिए है.
Mother Teresa has been picked up for sainthood, and the process itself has been reduced in terms of time, as never happened in the history of the Church, and this is an acknowledgement of the services that Mother Teresa rendered. We are proud of the moment, and we are also proud of the fact that the Government of India has sent a delegation, and it's a proud moment for all of us in India.
बहुत महान थी और बहुत उन्होंने जो है वो देश के लिए और दुनिया में जो अमन, शांति और भाईचारे और सद्भाव के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था.
And in News at 10, we'll take a very short break. Up next, we have all the international and sports news. Stay tuned.
I'm Amritan Shura. You're watching Constitutionally Yours.
We also have to think about the integrity of the nation as a whole.
Intricacies of the procedural laws should not be an impediment while dispensing justice.
Government has a problem in the complex land tenure system of the state.
How effective is the existing system of center-state relation?
The centre needs to also articulate the aspirations of the people of the state.
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Ghata, one of the oldest and most unique percussion instruments of southern India. You can play it not only with your fingers, but palms, wrists and heels as well. You'll be surprised, but the air inside the ghatam reverberates, creating the musical notes. 5 elements of nature, earth, water, air, fire and space, make up the composition of this beautiful musical piece, which has found an apt place in most of the ancient books.
Back after the break, news from the national capital now. Well, a Delhi court on Sunday sent a sacked AAP Minister Sandeep Kumar to one-day police custody. He has been arrested on charges of rape. Earlier, the police had sought 14 days custody for questioning Kumar on the basis of statements given by the complainant.
Sacked Delhi Minister and AAP MLA Sandeep Kumar, arrested on charges of rape on a complaint of a woman, was on Sunday produced in a Delhi court, which remanded him to police custody for one day. Kumar was produced before a magisterial court, which sent him to police custody. Police had sought 14-day custody for questioning Kumar on the basis of the statements given by the complainant. Police added that they wanted to find out more such cases of exploitation by Kumar.
ड्यूटी मजिस्ट्रेट साहब के सामने पेश करा और 14 दिन का पुलिस रिमांड मांगा. हमने उस चीज को टूथ एंड नेल अपोज करा. हमने कहा कि पुलिस को अगर कोई भी 14 दिन का पुलिस रिमांड चाहिए तो उसको उनको लिए जस्टिफिकेशन देना पड़ेगा. जज साहब ने उनसे कहा कि भाई आप इसका बताओ कि आपका जस्टिफिकेशन क्या है. जिस चीज को बताने में पुलिस वाले नाकामयाब रहे और कोर्ट में हमने पूरी ताकत लगा के इस चीज को अपोज करा, तो कोर्ट ने हमारी बात को मानते हुए सिर्फ 1 दिन का पुलिस रिमांड दिया है पुलिस को.
However, Sandeep Kumar's wife came out in his support, claiming that he was falsely implicated in the scandal. Speaking to media persons, she said that the family stands by him.
आपको लगता है पूरा पॉलिटिकल आडंबर आपके पति को फंसाएगी?
देखिए, हम जो भी है राजनीतिक साजिश है बहुत बड़ी.
Kumar was arrested on Saturday. After 12 hours of interrogation, the police searched Sandeep Kumar's house. Police suspect the objectionable CD was filmed in the house. The police have booked him over allegations including rape, causing hurt with an intent to commit an offence, and publishing or transmitting of materials containing sexually explicit act, among others. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On the news from Punjab, well, the Aam Aadmi Party on Sunday appointed actor and comedian Gurpreet Singh Googie as Punjab unit convener. Now, he has replaced Sucha Singh Chotepur, who was removed from the post for allegedly taking bribe from a party volunteer. Googie was appointed by AAP's Political Affairs Committee in the national capital. Well, according to a party release, Googie, who joined the Aam Aadmi Party in February this year, will take charge soon. Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who attended the canonization ceremony of Mother Teresa in Rome, told supporters that he was concerned about the situation in Punjab and would oversee the affairs of the party from next week. Let's now take a look at some of the events that are lined up for the day in the day ahead. President Pranab Mukherjee will interact with and conduct a class for the students of Dr. Rajendra Prasad Sarvodaya Vidyalaya on the occasion of Teachers' Day. He will also address teachers of various government schools in Delhi on the occasion. As many as 80 students will attend the class. The President will also receive the first copy of a booklet, Umang 2015, which will be released by Manish Sisodia, Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear Tamil Nadu government's plea seeking release of 50 TMC of water from Karnataka to meet its irrigation demands in the backdrop of the Kaveri water row. Earlier on Friday, a bench headed by Chief Justice D.S. Thakur posted the matter after Tamil Nadu government mentioned it and sought an urgent hearing. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will expand his cabinet, inducting two-time MLA M. Krishnappa. M. Krishnappa, who runs a business in real estate and land development, is likely to be sworn in as the minister later today. He will be replacing Image Ambrish, who was dropped during the last cabinet reshuffle. Well, 2 more Indians have been infected with the Zika virus in Singapore. Well, as Singapore grapples with rising number of mosquito-borne disease, Indian High Commission authorities are in regular contact with Singapore's health ministry. The ministry is reviewing the practice of isolating potential Zika-infected patients. So far, 15 Indian nationals are tested positive for the mosquito-borne disease in the city-state. In February, the World Health Organization had declared Zika a public health emergency after women affected by it had given birth to children with small heads. News from the Middle East, and Turkish forces and Syrian rebels cleared the Islamic State group from the last areas of the Syrian-Turkish border under their control. Now, the advance came after Turkey launched an operation on 24th of August targeting both Islamic State and the Syrian Kurdish force that have been key to driving the jihadists out of the other parts of the Syrian-Turkish border. The loss of the Turkish border will also deprive Islamic State of a key transit point for recruits and supplies, though the group continues to hold both Syria and Iraq. Last month, government forces had lost the area after insurgents captured several military academies and opened a corridor into rebel-held parts of Syria's largest city. News from Hong Kong, and votes are being counted after Hong Kong held its first major election since the pro-democracy protest in 2014. Well, turnout has been the highest since the territory was handed over to China in 1997, leading to a delay in the announcement of results. Well, voters chose members for the territory's 70-seat Legislative Council. Some 58% of Hong Kong's 3.8 million registered voters turned out, compared to 45.2% in 2008. The main parties competing are divided by their stance on the territory's relationship with Beijing.
呼籲大家選民喺今日晚上10點半票站開放之前咧，或者開票站關門之前咧，大家出嚟咧踴躍投票，選出大家支持嘅立法會議員。
I think it's very, very important since it is the first general election after the umbrella movement. Whether CY will go or whether the resolution of the Standing Committee of the People's Congress of China will be withdrawn. It's all in our hands.
The pandemic crash or the long-establishment camp gained a lot of seats. That is sending a signal which the Hong Kong civic society is blooming, and there are lots of different forces, but we could join our hands and against the Communist Party very effectively.
新陳代謝啊嘛，成日都做嗰個舊嗰個咧，佢做得唔好，拋出嚟新嘅政策上場咯。
Let's get you some more international news now. Here is the World Wrap. Bangladesh on Sunday summoned Pakistan's acting High Commissioner to protest its interference in its affairs. This came after Islamabad said that it was deeply saddened by the execution of a top Islamist party figure for atrocities committed during the war to leave Pakistan. Mir Qasim Ali, a key financier of the Jamaat-e-Islami party, was executed on Saturday for war crimes. Angela Merkel's ruling CDU party has been beaten into third place by an anti-immigrant and anti-Islam party in elections in a northeastern German state. Partial results show that the centre-left SPD got 30%, while AfD party took 21% of the vote. The German Chancellor's CDU was backed by only 19% of those who voted. The vote is seen as a key test before German parliamentary elections in 2017. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will hold talks with the Chinese President Xi Jinping today, the first such meeting in more than a year, as Asia's two largest countries are locked in a territorial dispute. The meeting will follow the conclusion of the two-day G20 summit that started on Sunday in the Chinese city of Hangzhou. The ties between Japan and China have also been strained by the South China Sea dispute, with Japan urging China to adhere to a ruling by the International Tribunal that invalidated China's territorial dispute there. 3 Poland ministers would make an urgent visit to London following attacks on its nationals in Britain, including a murder which may have been a hate crime. The announcement came hours after 2 Polish men were assaulted in a British town following a vigil for a fellow Pole killed in August. There was an upsurge in number of reported hate crimes around the period of 23rd of June referendum, in which Britons voted to leave the European Union. And now a look at all the sporting action from the US Open. Well, top seeds Sania Mirza and Ivan Dodig have crashed out of the tournament after their second round match in straight sets against Barbora Krejcikova and Maria Draganza. And in one of the biggest upsets in the US Open so far, 14-time Grand Slam champion and 4th seed Rafael Nadal has crashed out of the tournament. He lost a 5-set thriller against world number 25, Lucas Pau of France. Meanwhile, Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga reached the US Open quarterfinals for the second straight year after beating American Jack Sock in 4 sets. Also, 2014 US Open runners-up Caroline Wozniacki eliminated 8th seed American Madison Key 6-3, 6-4 to reach the US Open quarterfinals. And last year's US Open runner-up Roberta Vinci also reached the quarters. Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of news. Thanks so much for your time.